Hey, good morning. Let's wait a few minutes for others to join.
Hello.
Oh, hello. Thanks for joining, Mariusz. Um, okay, so I hope others will be joining soon, but we can start. Let me maybe share my screen so that you will be able to see the meeting minutes. It's October the 1st today. All right, so yeah, let me maybe start with a few quick opens. Well, the first one is just logistics. I did not send an invite last week as promised because my account has been deleted. I had to recover it and all of that. So I'll do this later. So expect a new invite for this meeting coming from a different address. And yeah. That's what I will do. Now, the other quick update is that I have uploaded the presentation for the OCP Global Summit after addressing all the feedback that I received from all of you last week. And so the presentation will be there. There's still a change needed in the last slide where there are links to the specs and all of that, but that's something that we'll handle later before presenting. Now, actually, I put this here as an agenda item, but okay, we can keep it here. So maybe before we go to the agenda items, are there any other opens, questions, other topics that anybody wants to bring up?
I just would like to know if anyone wants to share who will be on this OCP Global Summit. I plan to be there, so happy to talk in person if anyone will be around.
I'll be there, Marius. This is Dwarka here. I'll be there.
We should search for each other, try to meet anyone who, because it's a unusual chance to just see each other.
Yeah, I'll be there as well.
Okay.
And I agree, we should meet.
I agree. It's a relatively rare opportunity, and seeing each other and maybe meeting and doing something together that will be lots of fun. That's a good Mariusz, good open.
Also, one more open, as you know, I just try to share this open source implementation of this, let's say, agent. I'm working right now to also open source this whole let's say, example of multi-channel, very similar approach like for the OBMF. But before OBMF started, we've got this kind of a generic design that you can take a look at it, and I would like to extend it later to support full OBMF as a vehicle. So this is called the system management agent, like SPY flash access. It's about this other direction, but it uses USB natively. It uses this channel notion. It uses this MMIO commands and implements one channel, one specific channel. When it will be, let's say, released externally, I will tell everyone if you want to use it, you can use it for your purpose. But next one, I would like to put someone to implement like the on the same channel, same everything, the UARTs, GPIO, and SPY channel, because this is something that you can validate on the platform just like without any changes. So that will be something where we can look at the exact implementation.
Okay, great.
Yes, it was shared, but as I said, now it's still only MCTP, only bridging, but everything around USB infrastructure and bridging from USB to some slower devices. Everything is there, but I'm trying to release also the rest of this of the components, specifically the one component that could be used then to create this new OBMF like driver, and we can take a look at it and make sure that this is what we wanted. I want to use as a vehicle for the proof of concept.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mariusz. So yeah, I recorded the link in the meeting minutes, in the previous meeting minutes, but we can of course repeat it here. And yeah, everybody, please take a look at the implementation. Thanks, Mariusz, for sharing. Okay. Are there any other opens, or if there are no opens, I will jump into the agenda topics. So regarding the maybe I'll start here. One of the ARs that I took last week was to understand what is the right process to release, to publish the draft specifications. And in general, there are three options that I summarized here. Option number one is kind of very formal, to publish the document via so-called OCP contribution. And it also allows collecting feedback from basically anybody using a well-defined process. They have to accept an agreement, contributors agreement, to provide IP-free feedback. And well, that's a formal process. This document is kind of frozen, published on OCP website, and that's the approach. The problem here, which I think is a problem for us, is that this whole process takes about roughly 2 months to publish, because it's quite formal. It requires various stages, presentations to various committees within OCP, and then time for review. They need some time for review of the document and all of that. So it takes about 2 months before publication really happens. So this is option number one. There is another option, which I assumed previously when talking with Kasper, who was more experienced with this process. So basically, the process here is such that we basically publish the document using the wiki page, our OBMF wiki page in this case. And of course, before publication, we should have actually some more formal in here agreement within this working group, maybe voting that, hey, the document is ready, everybody is okay with this, right? In addition to just publishing the document, in order to collect feedback from basically anybody, we should also include a proper legal notice about, again, IP free feedback, so that when they provide feedback, they don't expect us to. I mean, that they provide the IP as well.
You can take example if you want from this OCP spec. There is also this license. You need to decide on the license for OCP recovery. If you will open it, in the bottom there is this special notice. Maybe you can just copy it if you want. I don't care. But I just saw it when I was working on the updates. There is this common special version of the license note. It says there's chapter 13 in this spec that is on shared with you, all of you. That there is this, probably just copy and paste if you want to, because it says this creativecommons.org license. Everything is shared, open, and organization grants OCP and its members irrevocable right to use this feedback for any purpose without any further obligations. So pretty much it's a kind of a very open license. And there is also this notion about OCP as a foundation, which is also listed. So
yeah,
13 and 14, maybe you should just copy it and we're done. Maybe. Please read it. It's very simple.
I believe, sorry, this is not this one.
This is OCP recovery, the one that I showed.
Recovery, you said 15.
Last two. They are super generic. Maybe something. Oh, this is, but that's part of the whole story, right? And we
maybe actually this is the 13, depending on the revision, because this is not the latest revision that we have on this drive, right?
But last two chapters are license and about Open Compute Foundation.
Yeah.
Last two chapters.
Makes sense. So
yeah, 13, makes sense. 1-3. Yeah. Just maybe you can just copy and take it. I don't care.
To be honest,
it's something that was someone that created this like 3 years ago, right? It's old. I didn't touch it, honestly.
I actually I was asked about the same from the CSCM perspective, and when I started poking about this whole process, they actually were not sure if they, I mean, some doubts arose, and actually I'm actually double checking right now. Still, I don't have the answer. I require some help from John Long, who is
this Creative Commons is listed as one of the licenses that we can use. When you will go to this main contributions and then like obligations, that's you need to decide on the license, and it's the must be relatively open. And this statement is, as I said, at least in the OCP spec, very generic.
Okay. So anyway, I'm still waiting for some confirmation to just make sure that this process, I mean, we can follow this process exactly as it was followed by or done by the CSCM group. Simply because they had some issues. The problem was that.
But they released the RTL. It's a little bit more.
Maybe
we released the spec.
As I understand, the issue was that people who provided the feedback didn't receive any return information about it. That was basically a black hole where they were just providing the feedback and nothing happened. No response, nothing from the group, and so that was the problem. And so we don't want this to happen here, right?
No.
But in general, that's a process that should work, I believe.
Shall we also try to just publish it just on, because there's a third option, just publish it in the CLA, not in the CLA group, but we have this HTTP link to OCP, and every member of OCP can access this common group without even joining it, right? Because we have
Uh,
CLA work group and non-CLA work group for our BMF. You can just put
Correct.
the directory on. And
But that's exactly this wiki. So wiki is available openly. We have open wiki, open GitHub, open group, right? I would say group address and all of that. So this is exactly this option. So I believe this option is perhaps the best from our perspective because there is no special timing restrictions or anything like that that allows us to quickly publish and get feedback. So that's the goal, right? To do that.
shall we vote that we accept this? All three no, 2 documents we can release. We cannot release the MTF.
Yeah, we should be able to release. Actually, that's
USB
another.
binding and the OBM.
Well, we should be able to release RDL,
Yes.
OBMF ICP specification, and USB binding.
Yes.
All these 3 drafts could be published, per my understanding, via this process, even before.
Shall we
OCP.
vote that we agree to this wiki publishing?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. So let me. But let me just finish. So there was yet another third option, which I think is not really doesn't make sense for us. This is basically an option where we can select some company or some other experts outside and then basically sign an agreement with them where they will receive the spec and they can provide feedback. But I'm assuming that's not what we what we want. It doesn't make sense for us. So this doesn't, option number 3 doesn't really.
I know that this is used for security when you have to pay and like I get the proper review, like the something like that. I know that they're doing this for Calyptra, for other stuff, where they have those audits where they pay for audits and they get the audits. I don't think we need that.
So for us, option number 1 theoretically could work, but it takes a lot of time. And option number 2 is simpler. And so I would recommend going with option number 2. I still have this quick, I mean, the double checking if we can just copy exactly from the CSCM or we need to make some tweaks. This is ongoing. I'm working on it, but I would recommend going with option 2. And so, Mariusz, I think it's a very good suggestion. Can we basically now formally vote and agree that this is the right approach, unless somebody thinks that option number 1 is a better option?
Option number 1 will have to be there. We should say that we start
for
option
like
2.
later revisions, right? For the early
Yes.
draft right now, I think option number 2 is sufficient.
By when do you really need the formal vote and decision on either option?
Now. Samir, now.
I prefer to run it. I mean, we can choose which option we want, but then we still need legal agreement in the signing. So I prefer to run it internally with the legal. Doesn't mean that we don't pick an option here in this subgroup first.
So I would say let's do this then. Let's keep this as an open, and we can vote next week if basically everybody agrees to go with this option number 2, wiki-based publication. Because yes, it requires all of us to agree, and very often, consulting legal makes a lot of sense. So I will just capture this as an next week's agenda item.
Makes sense. But can we say that the recommendation is for option 1? Sorry, option 2. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. We can say that the sub team or subgroup is evaluated. We believe 2 is our recommendation, but then we need some
and
time.
This is only recommendation to meet the timeline for the OCP.
Okay.
You should say
I'll-
reason, timeline to meet OCP schedule.
Okay.
And option one, and immediately we should say both. And yes, OCP Global Summit schedule. Global Summit schedule. And option one is after collecting feedback. And option one is to follow immediately after the Global Summit. And that will be my recommendation, as I see it. Option one is immediately after Summit. Because the goodness about option number one, we can make it even in parallel, because that will give the external parties ability to provide the feedback, all of the people.
I mean, option number two allows this as well. So, per my understanding,
Option one will be there either way. They will not shorten it because you
I
did
agree.
option two.
So
That's my
for
point.
like the formal publication of the 1.0 revision, this is the right approach, I believe. But now
Yes.
for the draft, uh, the feedback that I received was.
Can we call it 0.8?
Yeah, we
draft publication. No,
depends
it's
how we.
fine. No, that's draft publication. Let's make it draft.
Yeah. I was thinking we could call it 0.7, but whatever.
Yeah, it's okay. Fine. 0.7. Point thinking. Yes.
Doesn't matter. Depends on how we define what it really means. Okay, so I think that's something that we'll handle next week. And now we can focus on the two other items, or actually maybe three, because so what we this was the plan that we had last week. So last week I briefly presented the RDL files. That was just like a very short preview. And so I'm not sure if you guys had any chance to look into that, content. But we also have an updated revision this week, and we can talk about it for as much time as we have. So this is one portion. The other one, Mariusz, I'm not sure if you had a chance to upload the comments and upload a new revision of the USB binding, the class document.
I'm waiting for this assignment because honestly, it looks like it should be this week, right? Because the USB IF chair promised 2 weeks. End of this week, I should get this assignment. Then it will be pretty much 1.0.
Could we get the draft even without this just assignment, but to look at the document? Because as I understand, when this is provided, we could still have a chance until next week to provide some feedback to you and
yes, of course. But
maybe
I
develop the
believe I
corrections.
want to publish with this. It's 3-page spec, right? Pretty much.
Yeah, it was a short spec. Yes. Okay, so does it mean that you would be able
I
to
want to wait
that?
for this assignment of the class because then it will be everyone will see everything, right? That was.
Okay.
And now you can still comment on the initial draft because it's published, right? The draft is published.
I mean, it's available in our drive, and yes, everybody can provide feedback. So this is there's this native specification here, and this is the OBMF over USB
Yes.
document that Mariusz uploaded. Yeah, I believe there were some. I provided some comments here.
Yes, thank you. I saw them. Yes.
Everybody else, please take a look at this as well. So, okay, so that's the the binding. So we're expecting by the end of week, this week. And so now we also have an updated OBMF ICP specification that I worked on in the meantime to address all the feedback that we collected from the previous revisions that we reviewed. And so I would like to focus on this right now to review, to show you how it looks like. And again, we still have about a week of time to make any last minute corrections. At this moment, I just called it 0.5 revision. I'm assuming after this week of review, we could, if we all agree, we could publish this as a 0.7 revision. And so similarly, maybe before I jump into this OBMF specification, we have the RDL files, a new revision of the RDL files uploaded here as well. It basically accompanies the specification, and it defines all the, actually I will show it in a different format, but it defines all the, the structures that are necessary to support OBMF. So I would suggest let's spend some time, I don't know, a few minutes here. I can show you the current state of this document, and I uploaded it with some comments because there are still some not handled correctly. I had a lot of problems with this template, so I'll have to work on the editorial side to make these things work. I have just noticed that we have this section about license at the beginning, which points to some web page. Maybe that's another approach, different from OCP recovery spec. But in general, what I did was to address.
We have to remove the CLI. That's the problem, because we are closed. We should remove it before publishing on the open site. That's what I was asking you to take a look at what I have, because what I have is already after relieved the ban on sharing with everyone. Because my understanding is we want to share with everyone. Sorry.
Yes, we want to share it with everyone.
Yeah, but this is not
about contribution.
Unique just for us. The other CLA groups are dealing with this now, and they have dealt with it in the past. Do we know how they do it, the other groups?
I shared what I did for security team. Yes, that's why I was highlighting this.
So the recovery spec from the security workstream does not include this CLA section?
Yes.
Okay.
Does not.
Yeah, I understand. Okay. Okay. So yeah, I will. That's a good feedback. So I'll add it here.
We need to look at it, because, as I said, this, to my understanding, this is like a. I can check also with the GPU because I believe all of the GPU specs initially were under the closed group ownership, and then they were kind of released. So yeah, I will check it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not a legal person, but when I'm reading this, it seems to me that it basically clearly says that if you contribute here, then you accept this agreement. And so, yeah, maybe this means that all the contributions, they are IP free, and there will be no claims or anything like that about.
Maybe that's needed. Yes.
So it would be probably equivalent of what OCP recovery section 13 or 15.
It says differently. It just says that this document and everything that is spec'd in this document, it's when you take the one, not when you contribute to the next version. When you take it, it's yours. It's under Creative Commons.
Okay.
A slightly different aspect. It's not about us contributing and creating it, with you providing the feedback, delivering the value. Then we have to say that it's IP free, so we don't have IP. We are just releasing this to you. Sorry, I mean to OCP. And this is kind of a feeding into the version 1.0. And 1.0 is released, or the draft is released, it's actually the other way around. Now we are telling everyone can take it. And the access is royalty free, and we are granting all of the OCP members the full access to this without any strings attached. That's kind of a, we are now feeding into this document, so that's why we have the CLA. When we are releasing this to the people, it's actually the other way around. We are granting them access to everything that was delivered in this spec.
Okay, makes sense. So yeah, let's don't focus on this legal stuff. I think we need. I'll check with legal persons here at Intel, and if you can as well, then that would be great. Or maybe at OCP, maybe this is the right place. I'll try to find out. Okay, so now the other things that I did was basically, address the feedback that we collected over time in those earlier drafts. So basically, that there is just introductory section first, providing an overview of the protocol. I included here this updated protocol stack with, of course, focus here on this OCP, OBMF, ICP layer, because this is what the document is about, but also showing the relationship to other documents. And so, in fact, there is this whole diagram showing, this is the spec that we are talking about. There is those RDL files and probably other things that we will be adding later. And in addition to that, we rely on the USB side, on the class specification, and on the MCTP. When we use MCTP transport, there is, of course, this is work in progress, the binding to MCTP. I believe there will be a need to define a kind of a reliability layer or reliable delivery layer, so that the MCTP transport reliability will be equivalent to what we have on the USB side. And so this is more or less the overview. Then I captured here the requirements, updated requirements. So I actually, just temporarily for this review, I still keep the old content, but crossed out here, and I will remove it before really publishing it. But just wanted to see everybody more clearly what has been removed. And so I hope this follows what we agreed on. But please review this and provide feedback. Now, the actual protocol, again, I added some introductory section that explains how the whole structure looks like. So the fact that we have channels, and within each channel, we can have one or more services or functions that basically that can be supported. And so in this example, one of the pieces of feedback that also I addressed was to dedicate channel zero as basically a discovery channel, control channel. So there's the discovery structure that is defined to allow discovery and some negotiation on some basic transport capabilities. And of course, we discussed the details about Flash, RTC, UART, and all these other use cases or services that we want to support using other channels. And of course, you can combine.
I have a question, because are we combining the channel to support both? I'm glad that you wrote it down. I'm glad. Don't take me wrong. I love it, because I see that the Flash, for example, is a completely separate channel. Then the channel 2 is kind of a aggregated channel. Do you want to keep that aggregation, or do you want to say that it must be channel 2, channel 3? How you want to see it?
So yeah, that's a very good point. So my understanding is that, yes, we started with the idea that each channel would provide basically one service. So channel 1 would be flash, channel 2 would be, for example, RTC, and then channel 3 UART, and then channel 4 TPM, and so on and so on, right? But I think at some point in time, we decided that, oh, maybe it's actually a better idea to allow combining multiple such services into one channel. The reason for that is that if, for example, the BMC can only support one request at a time for RTC and UART, then it's better to show them as or express them as one channel, because channel allows just one request at a time. While if they would be independent, then probably that could cause some implementation challenges, at least more complex implementation. That's my understanding for the reasoning. But yeah, question is if this reasoning makes sense, if you all agree with this approach, and maybe it's actually simpler to just stick to the original idea.
This is more of the implementation details, right? Do we want to highlight that we are limiting or multiplexing the RTC and the UART channel, or should the spec kind of leave it to the implementation on
so this is just an example. That's just an example.
Presentation layer. I would rather think that we are talking about the presentation layer. I agree that internally it could be multiplexed, but on the presentation layer, we could make it cleaner, like RTC isolated from UART, and then of course internally they can be multiplexed, and you can just wait. I don't know.
Yeah, if we can, yeah, and there can be some device that can support independent payloads on these channels, right? Where we don't need to multiplex it.
So my understanding is that yes, it's all implementation dependent, and actual, implementation will describe what it can support, and it may be that every service is on a separate channel, but it may be that some of them are combined into one channel.
There's too much flexibility for me right now. That's the problem. Too much flexibility could harm us, because I'm also looking at the BMC complexity. From host perspective, it will be just yet another offset, right? Because everything is memory mapped, so they don't even need this channel.
So that's exactly how, that's exactly how they are kind of differentiated, using an offset. Base address for RTC,
exactly.
and base address for UART.
And I understand. So it's pretty much a device, but from on the other hand, on the other side, this BMC side, or this person that terminates, that's not so easy, because then this like a it's feasible. Don't take me wrong. It's of course feasible to implement it that way, because currently you have, for example, CP2112 device that presents GPIO and I2C, and some of them and SPI, and everything is on one channel, and they somehow manage it to register. It's a little bit more complex on this side, a little bit more complex. So it will be much easier if we say that this is not combined into one, because from device side it doesn't matter. I fully agree. But when you map it to something on Linux, it's kind of a cleaner to say this is RTC, this is UART, and they have separate
on Linux.
channels.
Yes, I agree. But question is, if you would want to implement it in any other way,
No, I mean the service side, like this. Let's assume you have something like a BMC implementing it. I'm not talking Linux or Windows or anything like that on the host side. That's like you said, it's just memory, yet another offset in memory. We can do everything in one. Everything effectively will be in one memory window somehow, right? The channel is only our.
Within one channel, right? So these two things, in this example, RTC and UART, they would be basically in a kind of one memory window that this channel represents.
Yes.
And then Flash, that is in a different channel, could actually have a kind of overlapping address within this channel, right? So they are independent. Every channel is basically independent of the other. That's one of the promises that we are building on. So I think, I mean, it's a good feedback. It makes it more complex to describe, this kind of ability to combine multiple services within one channel. But besides the description, I think, practically speaking, at the bus command level, this would be just the different offset, and that's it, right? That's
yes, but from perspective of us defining this channel, it will be very hard. You can make like a channel OEM class, which is okay. You can make channel, because we can define discovery service, we can define flash, we can define RTC, UART, we can define SPY. And this is what we can define. And then we should say, okay, some of them are OEM. And OEM will be combination of RTC and UART.
Yeah, I mean, OEM can define whatever they want, whatever, the register
yes,
space.
But maybe we should be cleaner. I don't know.
The channel numbers, is it our decision to kind of make it hard-coded, meaning channel 0 is for the discovery services, channel 1 is for flash, or is it not hard-coded?
Only channel 0 is hard-coded.
Only channel 0 is hard-coded. The other channels, we have flexibility, and this is described in those RDL files. What kind of service is on which channel?
No hard coding beyond channel 0.
And so that's only channel 0 that is hard-coded. Channel 1, 2, and so on, they have full flexibility. And at this point, the RDL files that we uploaded, they allow describing this kind of flexible approach where you can combine multiple services under one channel. This kind of creates this kind of a hierarchy. Yeah, I think that was my understanding, that this is what we wanted to do. But yeah, agree. Initially, the idea was that every channel would allow just one service. And that
unless you want to go fancy and create your own.
This is just an example representation, but this is configurable. That is, except for channel 0, rest of it. So maybe we need to reword it, say as an example representation of how the channel.
Yeah, I want to maybe emphasize this. This is
example.
So anyway, I was thinking that this kind of flexibility in description is useful, and since from the practical perspective, it's just a different offset. It's like same commands, just a different offset. Then I was thinking this was useful, and that was my understanding. That.
But then OBMF could be just one big memory space, right?
It could be. Yeah. In the extreme case, you could define everything.
Then it will be precisely MMBI, something like that.
Not precisely, but yeah, there is some commonality. Yes. But that would be an extreme case. As I understand, typical implementations would prefer having separate channels for Flash. And
maybe we should then do something like that. Say channel 0, channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, and just call them out, and then say that some implementations may decide to multiplex RTC and UART, but later in description, because what I found from, for example, from the NTF, people don't code to the spec, people code to drawing.
I understand. I found it hard way as well.
If we write it that way, everyone will actually think
very
channel
likely,
2 must be RTC plus UART.
Implement exactly what it shows.
JJ, Marius, I have a question. I'm just trying to understand and put my head around this block. Can you go scroll up a little bit? Okay. Now the channel 0. Now I'm coming from the BMC as a host perspective, right? Channel 0 is what is used to discover whether the device is defining channel 1, channel 2, or is it the host which is defining this channel 1, channel 2?
So my understanding is that we have, and actually I captured it here, the kind of after all the feedback, the new names that we adopted, as I understand, are producer and consumer.
Right.
And so in this case, BMC would be the producer, or actually provider.
Provider.
I'm sorry. Looks like I'm not consistent. Yeah, I'm not sure if I will have to take a look at the feedback, but
I was hoping that BMC will be able to use channel 0 to discover what is supported, not the other way around. So BMC will be this, let's say, will use the channel 0 to find out what is actually implemented on the platform and adapt, because what channels are implemented will be this integration point, and the BMC will just read it.
That
So-
was my expectation too, is use channel 0 for the discoverability, if we can.
Well, my understanding is that, first of all, those RDL files that describe all this topology, all the relationships, would be published by the vendor of the device, such as a GPU or processor or so.
Yes.
And so the kind of...
What is the format the RDL is going to use? I mean, what is that ASPEED as a BMC vendor needs to do to how to read that RDL and how to interpret it? Do we have to work with each vendor?
So RDL...
If you don't have a format defined, how is a BMC vendor is going to write a driver or an application to support this?
So, this process here, this has been, per my understanding, adopted by the CSCM group to basically use the RDL language to describe the format, how I think they used it for LTPI, and actually we have...
I don't think LTPI has any RDL discovery other than basically registers, which will define how many UARTs are there, how many I2Cs are there, and how many GPIOs are there. That's about it.
So my understanding was that what we want to do is define, using RDL language, what the device, such as a processor, GPU, and so on, expects, what services it expects to be supported. Such an RDL file, description of what is expected, would be shared with BMC firmware developers, or basically what we call here OBMF provider or producer.
Again, this is discovered through channel 0, correct?
Initial thinking was that it would be just published, and those files could be used during development time, could be embedded in the
That's
code
not
somehow.
scalable. That's not scalable. I mean, even
exactly. You're basically putting all onus on BMC side of saying, okay, I need to go now work with NVIDIA, I need to work with ARM, I need to work with Intel, I have to work with AMD.
These need to be communicated, discoverable, and using a standard schema so they can be decoded. Think of this like PDR and PLDM.
So I thought
but based on what Varga said, and Samir, I recommend to change the channel 2 description to 2 channels, channel 2, channel 3. Don't make this RTC and UART. This is very hard then for anyone on the BMC side to interpret.
But it still
it's cleaner if you don't create such a
concern, because I think
no, but then the RTC is RTC, the flash is flash, and discover is discover. It could be common, and then they will have a generic driver. This is, by the way, I wanted to create a generic driver that will discover every channel, and every channel will tell I'm flash. If I'm flash, it should be somehow, let's say, just the ranges of the memory. The size will be something that can change, but the rest pretty much should be the same. Otherwise, it will be very hard to change it, to use it.
So Marius, my problem here is that, we're defining two ways to access RTC. One is memory mapped IO accesses, which is the 7071 coming in, basically accessing the registers the way a normal x86 system does, right? The other way we have defined is a RTC OBMF packet, right? Which basically includes all the information, right? So now we have to support both from a host perspective because we have different consumers, right? And
Yeah.
so
So Marco, my understanding here is that every vendor, in this case, Intel could be differ from NVIDIA, from ARM, and so on, would provide this kind of a description.
correct,
Whether we
but
use
that cannot be on a paper, right? That means ASP cannot be sitting and coding for each vendor, right? It should be part of the discovery process, isn't it?
It should be.
It could be part of the discovery process.
No, it should be. I mean, same thing as, for example, if you take any of these standard discovery mechanisms today, you have USB enumeration process, you take PCI Express enumeration process.
Yeah.
Everything is defined. You basically, the structure is defined and you determine based on the structure, oh, I have this many bar registers, I have this many, and this is this type of a device, right? That should be part of the spec is what I'm thinking, right? We can't just make it as a generic RDL format, which ARM may decide to write one way, Intel may decide to write one way, AMD may decide to write one way, right? Which pushes the problem from the spec to BMC vendors.
So, well, my understanding here is that the RDL content that we would publish as the group would define, let's say, at this point, all the necessary basic services that we see as necessary or mandatory, and vendors would just follow this model.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So JJ, basically so far what we have defined, which are, the standard, which is the COM port, the UART, the RTC, the SPI, and I don't remember what else we defined.
GPIO.
There were a few other ones, yes.
Yeah.
Very, very important is GPIO.
GPIO, exactly. So can we actually just define the format for this so that when we come and discovery, for example, if you take PCI Express, the extended features, right? You just traverse through the tree and you figure it out. What are those features that you need to support, right?
Yeah, so
that answers the question. Please don't combine RTC and flash into one channel.
Okay.
Because that will make it impossible to describe and
the,
discover.
I mean, I was showing more or less the same last week very briefly. Let me then show how the RDL definitions look like at this moment. And of course, we can adjust them. Let me start sharing this other window.
We see your Google Drive, so
hopefully you can see the this channel definition, and then we have the various structures here. Can you see this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So at this moment, these are what I thought would be the standard definitions. That standard meaning everybody can define their own deviations, but that would be kind of non-standard approach and structure. But at this moment, these are just definitions based on the legacy RTC, UART, TPM. We also define postcode, virtual wires, and flash. And so, if you go to any of those fields, they exactly map to what the legacy RTC or so. For flash and virtual wires, we defined new structures that are, defined basically. We had a discussion a few weeks ago about it, right? How the virtual wires should be represented, and same about flash. So I considered these definitions here as well, I would call it standard definition of what RTC is and postcode.
So, Marius, when you say this is recommended, but anybody can use any other way, that makes it difficult for during the discovery process, right? If we define an RTC structure, I think this group should basically say, okay, this is the RTC structure we define.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yeah.
and
give it a version, right? So in
yeah,
Discover,
give it a
you will
version.
find
So this,
yes.
Keep the
You will
version
say this is
and add extension points. So very similar to the Redfish approach. They have OEM extension points almost at every level of structures. I don't know how much flexibility we need here, but we have to have some OEM extensions. So I agree, we need a version standard structure, but also a way to extend it.
Mm-hmm.
But then it will be much easier, right, JJ, if we don't combine RTC and UART into one channel, because the discovery will be much
but I think that's a
simpler.
secondary problem. I think the main problem here is that these structures, we need to kind of label them as standard, right? And I believe those files, I mean, this HTML doesn't show this, but those files in RDL format, they included revision, things like that. They
Exactly. And that will be part of the discovery, not the content, not the description, but the version plus like size, something like that will be part of it. So we can then say, okay, this is the version that we understand.
Yeah.
It could, by the way, BMC could support 3 RTC, but all of them shall be standard, right? You know, you can say,
yeah,
I'm
it could be
supporting
standard,
RTC
yes.
version 1, RTC version 2, RTC version 3, and then it's okay.
So yeah, so let me maybe show the RDL.
But if you will combine RTC and UART into one channel, and things get strange.
So no, channel. So look at this. So this is the channel. For example, this one channel combines multiple structures. In RDL, it's a relatively simple description. You basically are indicating what the structures are and their offset.
Yes, but then think about that. RTC structure for you, it's just some structure. The problem is slightly different. What version of RTC?
So this is the RTC structure in RDL, and this I consider this as a unique identifier. And then
we need to sit together and during we need to spend a little bit more time with everyone that will be, I hope there will be silicon vendors and BMC vendors together on the time, because I believe that we just don't understand this problem. And I believe I start to understand this problem of BMC complexity each time there is even slight deviation in the platform.
Yeah. So my understanding, and I agree this is a problem, but my understanding of the solution here is that we would have a uniquely named structure with probably a revision number. And maybe in this case, the vendor ID shouldn't be Intel, but OBMF or something like that. But then, those. So basically, from BMC perspective, if you would see RTC structure revision 1.0 produced by OBMF, then this is exactly this format. Those offsets.
But it will be easier if they find that, okay, this channel number 7 is RTC, and the vendor is OBMF, and the version is 1. Not like, okay, I have the channel number 1, and in this channel number 1, I have 7 different regions. Each of them is out of the blue.
I mean, that's fine from like device perspective. It doesn't really matter because devices can from BMC perspective, I think allowing to combine multiple structures into one channel.
I'm trying to understand having separate channel versus having all of this in one channel. What is the benefit?
So the only difference, per my understanding, is that
I have to switch to another meeting. Sorry, this time I can't stay
you're
longer.
at the top of
Sorry.
the hour.
Okay.
Okay, so that's all what we can do today.
Okay. We need to. I will. Is this shared somewhere?
Yes, it is shared. I hope you can see. This is all uploaded to the specifications folder.
Okay.
OBMF protocol specification, and there at this moment there are two files that I moved all the previous revisions of the files to history folder.
Yeah. What my suggestion here is that we need to have a standard defined by OBMF group, right? And then you can put OEM and put anything additional in the OEM, but standard channels should be defined by this group.
Yeah.
I think otherwise, that's the base that we need to support with, right? Anything additional, we have to figure out how to discover that and how to basically programmatically do it, right? We cannot just continue to actually work with, vendor A working with vendor B to figure this out, right? But that becomes a bigger problem.
Okay.
So at least a standard definition that everybody should follow, period. And then anything else that they have some features that they want to do, there could be in the future, there could be definition that OBMF group can add, which is, what Samer brought up, which is, getting the structure from the HPM for discovering what features the HPM has and all of that other details that LTPI is doing today. We could do that. But the standard channels, which we're trying to replace here, is the Super IO interface, right? That's the part that should be structured and defined, is what I'm thinking, so JJ. Otherwise, this is going to open up a can of worms.
So I may want to look at the spec, and for the next week, I'll emphasize definitely that all these RDL files that are published by OBMF are to be considered as a standard.
Correct.
And then RTC definition, standard UR definition, and so on.
Yeah.
We still allow some vendor-defined extensions, but that will be
there should be an OBMF definition which says the vendor defined, but then we need to figure out how the BMC and the CPU vendor work it out, right?
Yeah.
That vendor defined definition, because I've been through this problem, or at least not I, but ASP has gone through this problem of we have learned a lot of stuff from eSPI, right? There was the eSPI standard spec, and then there was this extensions, right? Which is what caused most of our problems when it comes to silicon. That's what we are trying to avoid here. We should avoid that.
Yeah.
Right.
So I agree, and I understand this is a very good feedback, because in the previous revision we had basically a section here in this specification document which described RTC, UART, and so on. Now we are just pointing to some RDL files, and it's not obvious that this is the standard, right? But they are.
I think this should be part of the standard spec and saying, okay, this is the RDL defined for all the predefined OBMF structures.
So, in fact, in preparation for that, I was thinking that it will be very useful. We actually are able to generate from these RDL files. We are able to generate the markdown files as well, which basically means it's part of. It could be included as part of a document. Actually, I'm not able to see this right now, but yeah, it's here. So basically, you can see all this content.
Yunlin, do you have access to this? We should review this internally and make sure that the standard formats are okay, that we can support. But any extension, we need to figure out how we work it out with OBMF team.
Yeah, I can access the Google Drive specification folder.
Okay. All right. So let's review this one more time and provide our feedback to JJ and the rest of the working group here.
Yeah. So let's continue the discussion next week. We'll see
you
how
got
it
only
goes.
I think you have only 1 week before, 1 or 2 weeks before.
Yeah, not a lot of time.
Yeah, not a lot of
We'll
time.
see what we can publish. As I understand, our goal is to publish some draft, but I think if we don't have full agreement on some content, then we can maybe remove it from the publication and just include some sections, placeholders, things like that. But I think we are in agreement, and I'll try to work in the meantime. I'll work on this document to emphasize that those RDL definitions are part of the standard, because this is an important point. Yes,
correct. Basically, that's your V1 or V0 standard, right?
Yeah.
OBMF can publish V1 later that, both sides will adopt, the PMC and the CPU side can adopt later.
And if possible, actually, maybe I'll just add an appendix here into this document that will be generated from all these RDL files. So this would make it very clear that this is part of the standard.
Yeah, agree.
Definitions.
I think somebody who reads one document should know that this is a requirement as part of the OBMF.
Yeah, the use of RDL was to help with the development, but I agree the side effect is that now it's not obvious that it's part of the standard.
Yeah, exactly. So Peter's going to take it and say, okay, yeah, I'm going to modify this to my needs.
No. I have run into that issue.
I'm just using an example. I picked on you.
No, that's good. Yeah, we need this from the internal operational perspective.
No,
as
I
agree.
But you agree, right? A standard is important, right?
Yeah, standard is important. Otherwise, how will you know what the other person
what exactly, yeah.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. Very good point. So good. We are almost 10 minutes after the top of the hour. I will probably upload a new revision of the document with some updates. Like I'll try to do this. I will send an email once it's uploaded to the whole group mailing list. And now I'll try to make some improvements in this document.
Okay, thanks.
And let's talk next week. We'll see what we can do, especially before the OCP Global Summit.
Hey, one thing we didn't get a chance to say that you're putting in a lot of time. You and Casper has done a lot of work on this. We really appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you. But this is all contributions from everybody. A lot of work from you, Dwarka, Prith, everybody else.
You picked bulk of the load, Ken.
Yeah, you guys have done bulk of the load, but we will be happy to help support.
But I must admit that since the time when we lost Casper, it's like double the load.
I know.
It doubled the load here. Okay. Anyway, that's thanks a lot. I think we'll talk next week.
We'll talk next week. Thank you.
What we can do and what can be published as a reasonable draft.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye.